let's talk about those rogue decks that we're going to be seeing after this ban list. Now make sure you guys smash the link crap out of that Enneacraft button so you guys don't miss out more Oz content. Why are we even talking about Enneacraft right now? Well, evidently Enneacraft just has a really good matchup into Cool Tunes right now, and honestly, that's all the reason that we need to see this. Evidently, if Enneacraft just goes first, Cool Tune just does not get the chance to actually develop a board, and you can control the things that happen to the opponent in that matchup, which is kind of cool, honestly. We needed more options to be able to kind of play into the meta here to be able to work out, and Cool Tune just is able to provide you with a decent matchup. Now, just because one deck has one good matchup doesn't mean that your encompassing rest of the meta snapshot won't also be able to, face some challenges within the scope of that. So that's kind of an important thing to think about here, is good matchup against best deck, but how does it fare against the rest? Fairy Tale. Ah, boy. We're going to be getting a lot more, as we go into battles here and as we kind of see more of the developments here, the Fairy Tale Spellcaster pile is only going to get better. And honestly, it's kind of exciting to think about that suddenly, we're going to see some extra little meta developments actually coming out of this. Because I think, like most people, we have wanted to see, Fairy Tale become a viable deck. And all we needed was one snow to be able to make that dream come true. And now we're going to have access to that. And honestly, that's kind of an exciting thing. I will say, kind of going forward, though, with Fairy Tale being in the meta, I don't think it's going to be a particularly scary deck. I do also know that this deck wants to play Metamorphosis, so some of the tools that you might be running into against this matchup might be a little bit worrisome. Mermail. So the reason why Mermail makes this list is actually before we went into and got this ban list, we actually just saw a successful water run out of the weekend. I don't know what it is about water being one of the better rogue challengers, but I love seeing that, the competition can still get wet out here, and we're still able to control a lot of the matches that exist within the space. And that's amazing to me, that somehow, no matter how the meta shifts and no matter how much things, try to change, Mermail still finds a way to, get itself into the format and act as a controlling variable to just do things. Obviously, the consistency, the Mullen Glacier shave off of resources from the hand is the real reason why this deck is good. Also, they have the turtle that makes it so you basically can't play the game. Yay, Lingering Floodgates! It's almost like a deck needs a floodgate in order to perform very well. This brings us to Magnet Warriors. Oh, look, another deck that has access to Naturia Beast. It's almost like floodgates are broken. Oh, sorry. Magnet Warriors' consistency has not really changed. I wanted to leave this still on the list of things here, because I know a lot of people are going to go into this format and they're going to be like, well, is Magnet Warriors still viable? And the answer is nothing has changed for Magnet Warriors. Magnet Warriors have not lost anything, they have not gained anything. The only thing that's shifted around is the floor in which the meta is working. Going into Cool Tune, though, for the matchup for this deck, it is not a particularly strong one. I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, it's 100% terrible, but it's more reflective of like a 30-70 not in your favor whatsoever of potentially just blowing you out. So we'll kind of have to wait and see where the rest of that part of the meta is going to shift around, but I find that's a pretty interesting topic of conversation for the meta developments there. And then we have Malice. Malice just lost one more of the consistency pieces that this deck needs. And as you've been shaving off the consistency for this deck as every set has gone, the TCG version of this deck does not have the extensive explodability that, a lot of the other decks feel like that they have in the meta, which kind of just makes things a little bit more rough as time goes on. So now that we're seeing one less piece of the deck being stripped off, even if it's just one card, it's going to be a downward slope from here in terms of consistency. Not having the ability to banish the pieces from the graveyard to also recur them back onto the field is going to be a slippery slope as well. So welcome to where we're at, people. I want Malice to still be a decent contender, but I think the reality of the situation is it's just not possible now. Draco Tail. Well, first of all, you lost Rahu, you lost Lucius to 2, you lost Arthalion to 2. Holy crap! We have lost so many important tools to this deck, but the Arthalion hit's not like the worst hit that the deck needed. It's just, if you're going to play this, you're probably going to build it into branded, and you're probably going to play the branded pile. But the problem now becomes the branded pile is just better. You know, even if you want to like scrape on all the way over to Chaos Origins and think that Alistair the Invoker is going to save you, I don't think that that's going to be the case right now. It just... Draco Tail has been effectively slapped so hard in the face that Konami just wanted this deck to not stick around, and that's effectively what they've done. They've somehow managed to send this deck so far back that we no longer have to deal with it. So, congratulations, people. You've officially witnessed this deck going back to Deletionville. Exosister. Exosister is only as good as the tools rotating around it in the format. And when I say that, it really comes down to, you know, how much control and how much banishment and how much graveyard recurability are we going to see within the format. Typically, the current format, I mean, like, you've got a couple of little niche tools, but it feels like the way that Exosister needs to interact in the format, you don't get that really crazy advantage tree that you're looking for, which is kind of sad, actually, because honestly Exosister feels like one of those decks that could just have everything if it wanted to, but unfortunately the meta just doesn't allow this. But you're still going to have people that are going to play this into the format. You're still going to have people that are going to try to challenge things, and it's obviously just going to be metagame developments over and over again. Which brings us to RB. RB was the rogue champion of last format. This deck had a 3 to 4 week span of just constantly topping regionals, and a lot of people were just kind of shocked about this. And honestly, it's kind of funny to think about how, you know, the community was just like, I can't believe that RB is doing well. Well, the deck was basically a board breaker deck. It relied on setting up key play lines and just making big pushes into your opponent. And honestly, that was all the deck really needed to do. It just needed to be able to push through those big scenarios and do its job. And I do think that the deck still can wonderfully do that. It's just, man, we are in a really weird place right now for a deck like RB to still function. But I think if we give it some time here and we kind of let more of this meta come to fruition, RB might be able to kind of rogue slot itself back in as a challenger. Welcome to White Forest. You know, as this meta has developed, White Forest felt like one of those decks that you were just afraid of. You know, Droll and Lockbird went to 2. White Forest consistency is through the roof. We've not seen the cool tune White Forest build really being successful just yet. Now, underneath the geas of the new format, that might actually potentially change. We might actually get to see some really cool new things developing, you know, with the trends of this format, and I actually hope that that's true. White Forest feels like it has some really good ideas going for it, and also it's a deck that unfortunately very much needs to go first. You need to be able to set up that explosive field, you need to be able to see where the lines are building, and you need that end board to be very, very, very strong, and typically White Forest can do that very, very nicely. And then, of course, there's Momento. Nothing has changed for Momento. Nothing at all. I think, maybe you lost Noroi if you were playing the K9 version. But, like, I don't think that really matters. This deck's job is just to kind of truck on through the opponent's resources. Kind of not give a crap if your opponent touches your extra deck, because you're playing, like, 3 of each of the big guys anyway. So it's just like, oh, thanks for the mild inconsistencies. But, like, the deck sometimes just decently wants to play around and actually do decently well into the meta, and I kind of like that, actually. It really shows that there's some good developments to come, and honestly, I like that. So what do you guys think about your rogue contenders? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.